Singing Chef coming to you today with another wonderful side dish recipe. Today I'm going to make for you Bradley's Bacony Baked Beans. Say that 3 times fast. Bacony Baked Beans, Bacony Baked Beans. Hey, not too bad, not too bad. So let me tell you what I got going on over here. Okay, so I have an entire pound of bacon that has been rendering over here in this skillet for quite a while, until it's maybe 3/4 of the way cooked, okay? I'm gonna take all that bacon out. The reason it's only 3/4 of the way cooked is it's gonna continue cooking in the oven when we actually bake the beans. But you wanna at least get the majority of that cooked through. I've just got a slotted spoon to drain off the grease, and I'm putting it over here into a paper towel lined bowl to continue draining. All that goodness out of there. Not too many more pieces. Now, that's got it. Now this bacon grease, I don't want much of it. So there's going to be a lot that comes out of that entire pound of bacon. So I'm actually going to take the majority of the grease that rendered from the bacon and pour it off into a Pyrex bowl, leaving a little bit in there because that's good flavor. And this just goes away. We'll put this away for now. Alrighty. Now, to this pan that still has some of the grease from the bacon, not much, maybe a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons max. I'm gonna add some chopped onions and some very finely diced carrots. Okay, for those to saute in that bacon grease. And because I've diced the carrots pretty small, I mean very small actually, should not take too long for those to saute, but I want to give those a little bit of a head start. Next thing I need are peppers. I'm going to use, for color's sake, an orange bell pepper into this. I'm just going to break that down real quick, cutting around in half. Pull out that seed core into your garbage bowl. And to get the excess seeds out, just tap, tap, tap. The majority of them will come out. Same thing for the other side. Make sure all the membrane is gone. Tap, tap, tap. Great. Then I'm just going to slice these and dice them as well. Just run the knife through. Just a rough chop. Nothing too fine necessary for these. The carrots need a little bit finer chop just so that they're a harder vegetable to break down as they saute. But what I love about those carrots as an addition is the sweetness that they add to your veggie mix with baked beans. Let's get this other half of pepper chopped. Doesn't take very long, as long as you get a sharp knife to get that into the pool. Now, let's give that a stir. Make sure my onions aren't burning in any way, but they are picking up some of that bacon from the bottom. If you think you poured off too much bacon grease, the reason I reserved it is you may want to add just a little bit back into the pan. If you see at the bottom of your pan starting to get drier than you want it to for sauteing these veggies. Now, excuse me, baked beans, you're probably thinking, well, they have those in a can. I can just dump out the can, put it in a dish and call it a day. Trust me, you want to amp up the flavor profile in baked beans compared to what's in a can. I still use 2 canned things, a can of baked beans as well as a can of black beans, and I'll talk about those as I add those to the pan a little bit later. All right, our peppers and onions are sauteing away. As usual, I'm going to layer each flavor each layer with a pinch of salt, pinch of pepper. That salt's also going to help those onions break down a little bit more. Great, just let that keep going. Now, the second pepper that I'm going to use is a Poblano pepper. This may seem like a strange ingredient for baked beans, but what I love about the Poblano is that little slight kick that it gives to this dish. So same way I'm going to break down, just go down around the outer edge to the stem, break it apart over your garbage bowl, pull out those seeds in the center as well as the stem, tap tap for extra seeds. Same thing on the other side, pull out the seeds and the stem, tap tap, should get the majority of those seeds out. And same process, we're just going to slice through lengthwise and chop across. I really do like the flavor of Poblano peppers. I find for people who don't like things too crazy spicy that it's one of the easier peppers to work with flavor-wise in dishes like this. If I were only making this dish for me, I might choose to do even a jalapeno because I do like spicy things. But this is just the slightest kick to go against the salty of the bacon and the sweetness of the beans and the brown sugar that we're going to add at the end of this. All right, just a rough chop on those poblanos. Pretty simple so far to put together. Get those into the mix. Just saute down a little bit. A little bit more bacon. Not mad at it. It's kind of hard to judge just how much liquid your vegetables are going to render in there. So you don't want your pan to get completely dry as you're sauteing all these peppers and onions together. But look how colorful that already is. I love that. I mean, baked beans get a bad rap for just being a plate of brown, but you know, we're going to add some color and some heightened flavor to Bradley's Bacony Baked Beans. Alrighty. Speaking of beans, let's talk beans. So I told you I am going to use some already store-bought ingredients. One was a can of baked beans, whatever brand you like, but it's the large tall can of baked beans. And all I did with those is drain them and put them in this bowl. Now the small can of black beans that I use, I not only drained them in a sieve, I also washed them. I wanted to wash off all of the ingredients that are used to preserve them in the can. There's no need for that in this dish. So the baked beans, there was still a little bit of syrup in there that I like, but the black beans, you can completely wash all of that off. So drain your baked beans, drain and wash the black beans that are in there. All right, last thing that's going to go into the saute before I add the beans to the pile is 3 cloves of minced garlic. If you've seen my other videos, you know that I love to add onions and garlic to just about any savory dish because the flavor bomb that those two things create is just worth it every time. It doesn't seem to matter what the recipe. And you'll, when that garlic hits, you will smell it. Sauteing in that pan with all of those veggies. All right, at this point, there was a method to my madness as far as what I put in the pan first. The carrots needed time to break down, so those went in the bowl first. The onions, I do want to get to a translucent place before I put them in the baking dish to bake in the oven, okay? But the peppers, they can still have a little bit of bite to them. They'll continue cooking in the oven and they'll be fine, okay? So, next step, all those beans we just talked about, the can of baked beans and the black beans go into this large saute pan that I'm using. I needed a deep saute pan to fit all of this. And I'm just gonna stir those beans into all those veggies, okay? Great. Now, to that, I'm going to add about 3 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. To that, I'm going to take some ketchup, maybe 1, 2, 3 tablespoons for now of ketchup, and a regular old yellow mustard is going in the pot. You may already know that I have a love affair with mustard. 1, 2, 3 tablespoons of mustard. A little bit more black pepper. And lastly, some brown sugar. This is dark brown sugar. I have maybe fourth to a third of a cup. I just kind of, again, you know me, usually just eyeballing things. That's about the amount that I usually put in. And then you just want to stir everything together. All those condiments and veggies and beans, all that good stuff together into the pool. Oh man, that looks so good. Now, what do we call this dish? Bradley's Bacony Baked Beans. So of course, that bacon that we rendered, the full entire pound of bacon that we rendered, is going back into the bowl that is drained, and again, just fold in that bacon goodness with all the beans and veggies. Just looking at the consistency of this, and I think I need a little bit more ketchup, so another tablespoon of that. Yeah, all right, all that brown sugar has dissolved down into our mixture. And it is honestly the most colorful baked beans you've probably ever seen or eaten. All right, last step. For some added smoky flavor, not that you need much because of the bacon, I'm gonna sprinkle in 1 teaspoon of cumin. Fold that into the mix. Get an extra layer of flavor in there. And that is it, folks. That is how I make my Bacony Baked Beans. Now I will put this into a 13 by 9 dish and pop it into the oven, which is at 400 degrees, for just, I don't know, about a half an hour or so, and you should be good to go. Just keep an eye on them and you'll be ready to eat some awesome baked beans. I'm gonna get these in the oven and I'll be back to taste. See you soon. Hi y'all, I am back. So I put my Bacony Baked Beans into a 13x9 dish, and I put it into an oven that was preheated at 325 degrees. It's a slow roast on these, so they go for about at least an hour to an hour and a half before you're going to want to check on them and see what consistency they are. And that may vary for you. I like for them to not be too soupy. I want them to kind of be thickened. So I actually let mine go for about an hour and a half. First thing I want to do is just show you in the pan how colorful they are. It's not your average baked beans because of those Poblano peppers, the green, and the black beans that we added to the baked beans and those yellow peppers. I love that it actually winds up being a more colorful dish than baked beans typically are. All right, so I'm gonna taste these. So get out a little bit, just enough to taste, making sure I get a piece of bacon. All right, let's see how we did. Oh yeah, it's so smoky from the bacon and the cumin that we added at the last minute. And I love the combination of vegetables in this. It's not just a bean dish. So I hope you will try this. It's an awesome side dish that my family loves. And it's pretty easy to put together, as you can see. Thanks for joining me on Bradley the Singing Chef. Please share, like, and subscribe my videos on YouTube. And I look forward to seeing you next time.